my side, my view, my middle ground, kind of moderate viewpoint is not being represented.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about now former NBC sports reporter Michele Tafoya leaving the network to talk more about things that she's passionate about, and more specifically, this issue of critical race theory in school, dividing kids up into race groups, and more conservative type politics. And before I get into it, I just want to say that I'm proud of her. Thank you for being so brave, because a lot of people in her position wouldn't want to rock the boat. They would stay getting that NBC check. They would stay getting that money, and they wouldn't say a word. They keep their mouth shut and keep on trucking. But she's like, you know what? No, I'm cool. I've been here 30 years. I don't like what's happening. I need to get away from this so I can go over here and talk about that. And before I go any further, let's roll the clip. This is going to be from her appearance on Tucker Carlson. I'll place her full appearance in the description box below if you want to see it without my commentary. But I want to play a piece of it right here. And after we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what she said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
First of all, congratulations on this new chapter. What an interesting decision that you made. Why did you make it?
It's been on my mind for quite a while, Tucker. Thank you for having me. And no, NBC did not encourage this. They did not force this. This has been on my mind. I've been waking up every day with a palpable pull at my gut that my side, my view, my middle ground, kind of moderate viewpoint is not being represented to the rest of the world, I didn't feel. And so rather than, you know, just banging it out on Twitter or Instagram every day, I thought, I've got to do something. I have benefited greatly from the American dream, and I feel like for the sake of my kids and because I so love this country, I've got to start giving back.
Boy, that is the best possible reason. So people who watch sports, of course, know you and have for many years. You went on The View recently, which is a slightly different venue for you. We have just a short clip, and I want to ask if this had some role in your decision. Here it is.
My kids in school, there is a big focus on the color of your skin.
How old are your children?
My children are now 16 and 13.
Okay, in what way?
It's been going on since they were in lower school, all right? And it is that there are affinity groups on campus for... My son's first best friend was a little African-American boy. They were inseparable. Get to a certain age, they start having what's called an affinity group, which means you go for lunch and pizza with people who look like you. Suddenly, my son wasn't hanging out with him anymore. Why are we even teaching that the color of the skin matters? Because to me, what matters is your character and your values.
Yes, but you know, you live in the United States. You know that color of skin has been mattering to people.
Can't we change it that it doesn't?
We need white people to step up and do that.
But I think that they've been doing that since the Civil War, and I'm not saying it's perfect.
No, they haven't.
Wow, that was such a moderate thing to say, such a sensible thing to say, and yet it seemed like such a controversial thing. I thought that was really brave that you said that. What did you think of the reaction?
I'm just astonished that we're so looking in the rearview mirror and not absorbing the progress that we've made in this country and building on it and recognizing it. You know, I don't think a person like Whoopi Goldberg would have had that role 50 years ago. She has that now. I mean, you and I know, Tucker, we could come up with a million examples. And it breaks my heart that my kids are being taught that skin color matters. And to me, if you want white people to step up, I was stepping up when I addressed the school and said, why are we having these picnics for families of color? Why are we separating our kids? If the world is integrated, let's continue that and have everyone find out what we all have in common, not just what we have in common with people who look like us.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, again, shout out to Michele Tafoya for being brave enough to come out here and say what she's saying. Because a lot of people, they don't want to do it. They don't want to risk their job. They don't want to risk their friend group. They don't want to risk their church saying something against them. They want to keep everything just the way it's going. But she's like, nope, let's do this. And I think I'm going to start first with the View appearance. Now, I had not seen that before. This is my first time ever seeing her on The View. And that exchange between her and Whoopi Goldberg was really strange. It was like Whoopi Goldberg was playing a character. It was really, really weird, because what Michele Tafoya was saying was right on point. I don't see how anybody, it doesn't matter if you left, right, whatever, if you're just a regular normie, I don't see how anybody could be against what she was saying, right? Because check it out. She's like, I don't like how they're dividing children in school by race. Now, and to pause for a minute, when I was in school, a lot of times, and you go to the lunch table, you might sit, like you pretty much would see the tables kind of split up by race. Not all the time, but for the most part, that's kind of how it is. But that's not because we were made to do that. That was our choice. We sat where we wanted to sit. Now, if the schools are actively involved in making that happen, that's a problem. That's a big problem, because you're making it seem like there's no other choice. So you can't be a black person with a white friend or vice versa. You got to stay with your race group, and that's it. You can't go over there. You can't cross the tracks. That's the general message we're getting from the schools, right? You can't have any friends of a different race. And to combat racism, how can you combat racism with racism? You see, if Whoopi Goldberg and her ilk say that white folks got to step up, they got to do more, or Michele Tafoya is like, I'm actually using my voice to make a change. Whoopi Goldberg, again, does not understand what racism is. She thinks this whole thing about whites against blacks. She doesn't understand it. Racism also can be against whites, against blacks, against anybody, okay? That's just what it is. It could be whites against whites, blacks against blacks. There can be racism from all over the place. If you want to get past it, how about we have friends of different races, and we're not bounded just by skin color. What we're bounded by is your morals and your values and things of that nature. That should be how it is, right? But obviously, that's not what's happening, which is why Michele Tafoya is so outspoken about this whole thing of CRT and whatnot. And I'm not sure where she's going to go, like if it's going to be a podcast, if she's going to have her own show. I'd love to see her have her own show, maybe on Fox, maybe elsewhere. It could be a podcast. It could be anything, because Michele Tafoya, I mean, I've been seeing her for a long time cover sports. I saw her during the game on Sunday, right there, interviewing Aaron Donald, you know, really doing the thing. She's a very well-respected person. And I think her sentiment is how a lot of Americans feel. People that are kind of moderate, not necessarily even into politics like that. You know, if you were to ask them, are you a Trump supporter? You know, are you like that? She probably wouldn't say yes. But at the same time, she's not liking the direction the left are going in, because they're being pushed all the way to the far left. Okay, that the CRT with kids being divided into racial groups and stuff like that is one thing. You also have the LGBT stuff being forced upon kids through indoctrination, propaganda, etc. I saw a study that said that 40% of Gen Z kids, I suppose, identify as LGBT, or Gen Z people. I think some Gen Z are adults, of course, but 40% of them identify as LGBT. Now, this is abnormal. This is not right, because when you're talking about people who are actually gay in the world, maybe 1%, 2%, and I'm probably being pretty liberal with that number. It's probably less than that. This is not a common thing, because humanity has to progress, and you can't progress humanity with two of the same sex. It's not possible. You got to have a male and a female. That's how babies come into the world, right? Male, female, make a baby, boom. A lot of these people that identify as LGBT are probably virgins, never had any kind of sex, but they think that they are that because of what has been pushed upon them from a very young age. You understand what I'm saying? And the problem is, as I said in my live video last night, the people who are already in that life and they're veterans of that alternative lifestyle, they're looking for people who are kind of malleable to try and, quote unquote, turn them out, to make them go in that direction. Say anything about all this woke stuff. Okay, you're not racist. You're not born that way. You're not raised that way. But then when you keep getting taught about racist stuff and separated by race and this race, they're the weaker, you're the stronger one. They talk about, when I say they, I mean the left. They talk about how the white supremacists dominate, or not dominate, but they're out there and they're scary and they need to be defeated and attacked. And if you know, the whole punch a Nazi thing. But they are the white supremacists because they cast all non-whites as victims and poor and can't do anything without the white man's support and approval and pat on the head, all this, that, and the third. They say that. Then they say the white man's the oppressor. He's the ruler. He's the conqueror. He is like this omnipotent being. He's like the equivalent to Jesus Christ. They say that. And then at the same time, they say the white man is wrong for believing these things, for believing he is the conqueror, the king, and Jesus, and all this, that, and the third. You tell him he is that, and then say he's wrong for believing in it. So, like, what are we doing? The whole thing is crazy. It's confusing. And if I'm confused telling it, and if you're confused hearing it, imagine how these kids are growing up in it. They don't know what to think. You know, but you know what? As I close, I'm going to say this. At a certain point, they do know what to think, even if it's wrong. Because what they think is all that they can think. They have no other information that's being imputed into them. A lot of times you got liberal woke parents. They're telling them the same thing. Imagine if you got a boy that's like 5 or 6 years old, right? He expresses interest in a dollhouse. He sees his little sister. She has a dollhouse. I want a dollhouse too. And the parents think that right there means he wants to be trans. So from that point on, they put him in girls' clothing. They try to put him on hormones. You see what I'm saying? The boy just said he wants to play with the dollhouse. He didn't say necessarily that he wanted to be a girl. Even if he did, he's 5 years old. He might have said he wanted to be a shark, an eagle, and stuff like that. Are you going to put a shark fin on his head? Are you going to put eagle wings on his back and let him fly out the nest? No, you're not. These parents have become weak. And the children have become weaker because of all the information, all the indoctrination, all the propaganda that's being pushed upon them. So shout out to Michele Tafoya, as I wrap it up here, for just speaking out against what's happening, speaking out against all this madness. And I hope people like her, join her, and I hope that people with big voices also come out and say what she is saying, because if we don't have a serious kickback against all this ridiculous stuff, we're going to have big problems here in the very near future. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Michele Tafoya saying what she said about all this critical race theory and woke and all this? How do you feel about what she was saying there? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. I say, rock on, Michele Tafoya. I got your back. You don't need NBC. And she did say there was not some kind of beef there. It wasn't this big thing where she was forced out and all this and that because of her appearance on The View. It wasn't even about that. It was about, look, I know what I need to be doing. I know what I want to be doing. And this is my direction. This is how I'm going to go about it. I support her 100%. And anyone else who feels the same way, I got your back as well. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.